Jack Barsky. Is that your real name?
Yes, it is. It's on my driver's license.
but wasn't it?
Yeah, it was not the name that was given to me at birth. No, that's correct.
What was it then?
That name, I hate to pronounce it because it's difficult to repeat. And then people say, well, anyway, Albrecht Dittrich.
Explain me, for all my Indian audience, that what was KGB like? Yeah. How big was it? What were they controlling? How would you explain it to me?
Okay, the KGB in the Soviet Union was the CIA, the FBI, the National Security Agency, the Secret Service, the internal police as well. It was the most powerful agency that there ever existed in the entire world. The power that Stalin wielded was through the KGB, and Stalin was, up until he passed away, apparently from a long disease, but he had unlimited power, and he wielded it through the KGB.
So when you say power, what do you mean by it? What power did KGB have?
Life and death. They could go and arrest somebody with and put them in a jail, in a gulag. You know what a gulag is? A prison camp. It would be someplace out there in Siberia in very cold weather, where people were forced to do hard labor and couldn't get out for years. A lot of them died there, women as well. So there was a phenomenal internal apparatus to oppress any kind of resistance to Stalin and the regime. And it was not the army, it was the KGB.
So give me 4 or 5 examples of what all were they capable of.
In the early 1930s, Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union in those days, and Ukraine was always known as the breadbasket of Europe because the soil in Ukraine is very, very fertile. And there were like pretty big farmers that owned a lot of land, and they produced a lot of the grain that then was consumed by a lot of the rest of the Soviet Union, and Stalin wanted to collectivize them. Lenin, before Stalin, left them alone. And Stalin said, no, you need to become a collective like all the other farmers, so we can control you. Now, he didn't say that directly, and they resisted. Then, no, we're not going to do this. And so Stalin tasked the KGB with forcing that collectivization with the help of the army, but it was run by the KGB. They confiscated all the grain. They stole it. All the grain, including the grain that the Ukrainians need to eat. That resulted in several million people dying from hunger. This is known as Holodomor. This is one of the reasons that the Ukrainian people, even today, hate Russians. Okay, and there are well-documented cases where parents ate their children after they passed away from hunger. It was a horror show. Well, collectivization succeeded. Stalin was very paranoid. When he had a thought that there was danger to his rule, danger to his life, he proactively told the KGB, make something up, bring him to jail, and just execute them. There wasn't even a lawsuit or anything like that. In just prior to World War II, Stalin had another notion that things weren't really good, and that maybe the army they were conspiring against him. Just anytime he had a thought and had a suspicion, he was just paranoid, the same way Napoleon was paranoid. And paranoia makes you believe in a lot of threats that are not real, right?
Yeah.
So you don't miss the real ones. So what he then put in motion was called the Great Purge. The Great Purge that involved in arresting and killing hundreds of high-level party members. He had almost all the senior officers arrested and executed, which actually weakened the military a great deal, and it allowed Hitler to come in. It was just before Hitler came in. Hitler to come in and reach pretty much Moscow. Did not succeed in getting into Moscow, but and eventually was defeated by winter, not necessarily by the strong Soviet army. So that was a situation where Stalin really shot himself in the foot. But there was literally unlimited power. The only limitations that there were inflicted by Stalin upon himself.
Like what?
For instance, he had to have doctors, right? And occasionally, when he was suspicious that one of those doctors was no good, goodbye. And that may have been a real good specialist to take care of himself.
So he would kill them?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And he would kill anyone and everyone who he just felt.
That is correct. And he was denounced all over the place. Well, yeah, denounced for what? Not what he did. What he did was like kill a lot of people when he was head of the KGB. And oh, by the way, he had killed his predecessor by the name of Yezhov. He also was a mass murderer. So there were, in the history of the KGB, there were, I forgot the exact number, 7, 8, 9 heads of the KGB. And with the exception of one, all the others were executed once that time was up, so to speak. And they were executed by their successor, who then was executed. I have a presentation where I show all the pictures and then I kill them all visibly, so to speak. It's funny, right? But I don't think the world has seen bigger terror than what happened under Stalin and executed by the KGB.
But I'm sure when it started, it was not for the purpose of just protecting Stalin and giving him unlimited power, right? Why was KGB started? Who started it?
Okay, it was started by Lenin. Okay, Lenin was the head of the Bolsheviks, the Communist Party that took power in 1918, I believe, in October. What they did, it wasn't really a revolution. They all said it was going to be it was a revolution. No, it was a insurrection. It was a bunch of militarized people, extreme communists gathering and storming the building where they had at that time a parliament. It was called the Duma, and they arrested the parliament, and then they took over. The Russian state was very, very weak because Russia got beat up in World War I. And so the army was beat up. The state was ready for the taking. So Lenin took over. Now, once you take over by violent means, how do you remain in power? Because there were other forces that were against him. Well, you use violence. So he got in touch with a fellow that was a Polish man, a Polish nobleman who was also a radical Marxist communist. Said, "Oh, you need to form an organization. We call it the Cheka, and then that organization will be in charge of what we call the Red Terror." Okay, and that was officially, they called that the Red Terror. Yeah, the Red Terror. And the Red Terror was really officially meant to defeat the enemies of the revolution. Okay, and so what that meant really, it wasn't going arresting somebody; it's going kill people. You know, when somebody pointed at a neighbor and said, "This guy is, he's anti-Bolshevik," they would just go and kill him, and then the guy who denounced him would go to his apartment and steal everything that was in there. So it was individual terror. It was brutal. It was ruthless. It was lawless, and it started out, hanging a bunch of peasants by the trees. And Lenin was the one who initiated all of this. He was, when you now listen to historians who studied both Lenin and Stalin, he was actually even more evil than Stalin inside, but he didn't have a strong instrument. The Cheka then became the NKVD. That was the German pronunciation, NKVD, and had a number of main changes until it became the KGB. So that's the history of the KGB.
And then you became part